for week two of the STEM competition, all right. So for week two of the STEM competition, here's our Jaquel submission for Clean Cuts UI. So we went with a really minimalistic approach here. So we got just like three main things here. You got your drop-down box for like create meal, search, so you can search for meals or create your own. Then you go over here to your profile. So you can create a profile like here with have the icon and then description. You can go over like your ratings and stuff. The settings, which you can probably we'll have themes in the future with like a light mode and a dark mode. Right now we just have dark mode set up, and then there will be a help screen for like user problems. So right now we're on the top, or this will be like the main thing you load into when you boot up the app. So it'd be the top meal screen. It'll go over like the monthly top meal. So there'll be more here, but for now we just have one example. So if you like find a meal you want, you can just click on the image here. It'll take you to the user who made it. So I just made my name here, the one theory, and then icon. And then here's like the user rating. You can give them a rating as well. So got a short description of the meal kind of, and then a list of ingredients. And it's really as simple as that. And if the user wants, they can provide like instructions. So if it's like a more complex meal, where this is just like a salad, it's just bunch of ingredients tossed up together. So, but if it's a more complex meal, there'll be, of course, instructions down below. But it's really as simple as that. You just hit the back button, you can go find some more meals, and yeah, really minimalistic, scalable, and just simple, easy to use. And that's it.
Hi, I'm Nicholas,
I'm Pranav.
I'm Henry.
and we represent Providence High School. Our app, We Care, is designed to help charities and volunteer organizations around the world. By acting as a tool to assist these groups, we hope to allow these organizations to encourage more people to lend a helping hand in a world where many people live in poverty.
Now let me take you through a detailed layout of our app. As you can see, we have numerous screens, all with different things on them. Now, we made this app with the pure intention of being as user-friendly and accessible as possible. So we made it really easy to understand what each of the screens does. You may also notice that we have two separate logins, one for users and one for charities. Charities have to be verified by a moderator before they are allowed to log into their account. This means that only verified and real charities can create events, meaning that people have no chance of getting scammed. This might increase their participation.
So what does this mean in the bigger picture? Many impoverished people around the globe struggle to find help as many charities are unable to receive the aid of volunteers due to a lack of social connections. However, our app strives to mend this problem by providing charities easy access to resources and volunteers that will allow them to better serve underrepresented groups worldwide.
That's right, folks. Week 2, STEM challenge, varsity, CMS, amazing stuff right now. Malcolm, I got to tell you, we're off to a great start. Now, our first matchup, Audrey-Kell and Providence. I love the start. Again, they are on the app challenge. And just to remind everybody, we saw in week 1 where they started with their idea. And now in week 2, it's where the rubber meets the road. The week 2 challenge in the varsity STEM curriculum that they have all gone through now on the app side is showcase your app's core screens that demonstrate how your app will look and theoretically function. They're using Figma wireframing technology to do this. So now we get a real in-depth view of where they're heading. Audrey-Kell, the food app, I really like the clean look. I thought that was really a great example of where the new benchmark is. I would argue maybe they could tighten up that recipe page a little bit. That's the main element of where their viewer is going to be. It needs to look really crisp and clean in there. Maybe add video to it, but also think about a news feed. When your users are in there, once they've made one, how are you going to look at other people's? Perhaps upvote them and you can see the most popular. There's a lot they can do with it. I thought it was really good. What'd you think?
I thought it's a great idea. I mean, I kind of got the idea last week, but now I think I figured it out. It's like a like Yelp for individual meals. Instead of just searching by restaurants, you can search by specific meals across all restaurants to find something that matches your taste. I mean, Audrey-Kell is the clear front runner in,
They always are.
in this app race, and
Yeah.
they always are in esports last season. Let's see how they do in the app challenge, and if they can keep that energy up.
Now,
Providence,
yeah.
We Care. You want to cover
The
that
We
first?
Care app, all I'll say on that was I love the idea. I loved the idea last week. But as you can see with that Audrey Kell matchup, where STEM competition brings that to the next level, we really need to see more of what the experience is. We got a view that they're actually building something on that back end in that Figma wireframing tool, but I didn't really see, like we saw with Audrey Kell, what is the user experience like and all that. That's really important at this point. I think they have the crux of a good idea, but they've got to show us what that user experience. This isn't kids pretending to be adults and building stuff. We're actually building stuff over an 8-week period right now. So I think that's going to hurt them a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I really like where Providence is headed, and I think they have a really solid idea. I just want to see it fleshed out a little bit more, and what that's going to look like in the coming weeks.
So scores, we got to go.
Scores. I'm going to give 1 point Audrey Kell, 1 point Providence.
Good cop. I really want to see Providence step it up to the next level in week 3 as they evolve through the curriculum from a STEM perspective there. I think I got to ding them a little bit, though, and I'm going to go all 2 points to Audrey Kell. That's 3-1 in week 2 competition. Audrey Kell up over Providence.
This is Charlie Charger, and welcome to Charger Chase. Charger Chase is a game where Charlie has to run around and find his charger. There are 5 levels, including one where he has to find his charger, showcased below. On level 4, Charlie goes through multiple platforms and jumps around to reach his charger located on the bed. We really wanted Charlie's image to be mirrored when he walked around. We did this by going into Construct and editing the event sheet. Charlie moves around using the arrow keys, using the left arrow key to move left, the right arrow key to move right, and the top arrow key to jump. Charlie's goal is to make it through all the levels, avoiding obstacles, and eventually find his charger on the bed in level 4. We have so much more on board for Charger Chase. We can't wait to see you then.
Hello, and welcome back to Independence's Chess PvP. If you don't know what Chess PvP is, whenever you are playing chess, it's very, very boring as you're just moving pieces. But when you take a piece in our game, what will happen is, once you take that piece, you'll get thrown into a battle scene. So for example, I take that piece there, and you get thrown into a battle scene where each piece will have to fight out against each other. So far, here's the art for both of the games. This is just one of the battle scenes that we have. It's a very simple mock-up at the moment. And going back to the main board, we can see we have all the pieces. Some of them are slightly off-centered, which is a problem we're going to have to fix in the future. And then we're going to have a moves list on the right. This is just a simple showcase of what our game will look like, and we hope you enjoy Chess PvP in the upcoming weeks. Thank you and have a great day.
All right, now we've got this matchup, Virtual versus Independence. This one, again, for week 2, we saw their idea in week 2. Now we're getting into what the user experience is of what they're going to build. This, again, is in the game curriculum STEM stream, not the app building. So switching gears here. And again, so you know what the objective of that week 2 game building curriculum is. They need to showcase their game idea that includes details on the gameplay loop and core art assets arranged in a level mock-up to demonstrate the final game. So game idea week 1, now rubber meets the road, and they're using the tool construct.net to make this happen. Malcolm, I saw on the virtual side, which again was the Charger Chase game, really cool gameplay, really cool game idea. It was great that they showed the details of what they were doing behind the scenes in their video submission. I thought that was great and a lesson to be learned by all the STEM varsity teams. Don't just show us what you did in the background. I think if there's one constructive piece of criticism that they can start incorporating in here, some element of scoring, right? It's one thing to play a game. It's another thing if there's a leaderboard that you can compete in. Again, keeping your users sticky in there, wanting to play. This is why people play it. What did you think?
Well, I thought the Charger Chase game looks like a lot of fun, really entertaining game. It looks like it's going to be. They also went above and beyond, not just showing, a level mock-up, but, an actual kind of preview of what the gameplay could look like, hopping around through these different levels, looking through the chargers, avoiding your parents always. As for the PvP chess. from
Okay, independence,
Yeah.
man. I really like this concept a lot, the chess PvP. I think the battle scene is cool. I think we're seeing that for the first time right now. I think my feedback loop there for independence is how will you win in that battle scene? I think how they design that player experience of ways to win is going to make it the crux ultimately of if people want to play it or not. And also when you win and you go back to that main stream of playing chess essentially, there's probably a cool opportunity to show your trophy case where you've won in battle is something they can incorporate that's a unique part, not just pieces on the board. So I like that part. What did you think?
I mean, I think it's a really innovative twist to chess, and already having that base, player base of people that are into chess and maybe kind of into some other games. I think this could be a huge game and actually, be widely adopted across, the U.S. and the
A
world.
lot of upside. Give me your score.
I'm gonna go 1-1.
1-1. I'm going to play good cop today. 1-1. That means it's a 2-2 tie, 2 points for virtual, 2 points for independence.
Welcome to week 2 of our devlog. Saw you came and liked what you saw in week 1, so you've come back for more. So, as a reward, this week we'll be introducing a new mechanic for you. This is the throw and pull mechanic. This janky mechanic will allow for amazing speedrunning opportunities. With our game's janky physics, we will be throwing each other around and reaching speeds I don't think you should be reaching. Anyways, that brings us to our gameplay loop. Speed puzzling, essentially Rubik's Cubes, but with logic. Instead of using algorithms, you just, actually have to think. Now moving on to our mock level, we can see tons of stuff here. First off, we can see how players are moving around, interacting with each other, and trying to solve the puzzle. Secondly, we can see, we're in an elevator shaft. So yeah, our progression has changed. Instead of a map with different branches, we've switched over to a single path. So you are no longer given an option. So now you switch between elevator shafts and hallways, where you go switch between puzzles and stealth combat. So just to recap, our gameplay loop is speed puzzling, we've added throwing and pulling, and we deleted the map. Thanks for listening. And just remember, North Mech doesn't disappoint. Only in Valorant Esports.
Hi, it's Wes from MPHS with the first level showcase. For our enemies, we have the elf and the skeleton. The elf will be fast, low health, and shoot fire at nearby towers. The skeleton will be a slow, high health enemy that won't do anything but walk along the track. The towers are the knight and the archer. The knight is a little bit lower damage, but it can deflect elven fire and has a little bit shorter range and has higher HP. The archer will have a little bit lower HP but higher damage and higher range and cannot deflect elven fire. Our boss is going to be the skeleton dragon, very high elven enemy that shoots fireballs that can be deflected. Every 20 seconds will reward damaging all nearby turrets. Now in our first level, the enemies are going to go along this track here, and you could place towers in each of these blue dots, and they would go along, and then once they reach the end over here, the player will lose life. And our core gameplay is in progress, so more updates in future weeks.
Okay, now we are up in the Varsity STEM Challenge between North Mech, Myers Park. We just saw that. Again, to refresh, this is the Game Dev STEM competition. They have gone through their week 2 curriculum and submitted those submissions as you see with their work. And again, the idea is show us your game idea with actual details on the gameplay loop, the core art assets, and a mock-up of your levels to really demonstrate the final game. What I saw there, Malcolm, tell me if you agree, on the North Mech side, love showing the throw and pull mechanics. That was pretty cool. Focusing in on a mechanic is something really critical to that detail, to how the gameplay is going to happen. They showed some gameplay, but I really wanted to see more. On the Myers Park side, that tower game, loved the character detail. Not sure that they used the construct.net app in that. Again, maybe they did as part of that week 2 curriculum. It just didn't jump off the page at me. What did you think?
Well, I think North Mech has some crazy creativity when it comes to their presentation style. I wish they'd spent a little bit more time showing us their, kind of design of the game.
Yeah, I wanted to see more.
They really just padded it with a lot of random images from the internet, which makes for a cool presentation and engaging, especially for those of us with ADD. But, the Myers Park STEM team really kind of had a polished idea of where they're going with their game and a lot of art assets that they showed off. So I think I'm going to have to give 2 points to Myers Park.
Wow.
This one.
To my home high school, you're going 2 full points. That's like super good cop. Actually, it's bad cop. Well, I got to base now my decision on that. While I'd like to give Myers Park a resounding lead there, I got to go 2 points to North Mech, so it ends up being 2-2. I think both of them are leading down a great path. But I think we're going to have to be harder in judging them in the weeks to come because we're going to need to get past the idea and more into the actual gameplay. So big props to them both, but that is 2 points North Mech, 2 points Myers Park.
Hello, I am Beckham Fortenberry of the East Mecklenburg STEM team, and this is Paper Warriors, a turn-based strategy game. Obviously, since we're turn-based and we're a strategy game, we're not going to have your traditional level, so we're just going to show our first board. It's going to be the grassy terrain board. There's no gimmicks, no special things in the tiles. It's the default board. It's the first board you're going to start with. The 5 characters there, and on the top and the bottom, that's the starting placement for where they're going to be. We might add different maps later, like a river map, which could carry you downstream a river, or like a mountain map, which could have a wall that you would have to walk past. Here's the 5 characters. Here's a closer look at them. We have Brutus D in the middle. We have Professor Squeaks in the bottom left. We have Toimbers in the bottom right. They're all going to have idle animations on the tile, which will help give them character and help give the game motion. Here's Toimber's idle animation he'll have. We're still working on everyone else's, but that's what we've got so far. Thank you very much.
Hello, it's the Beller High School Game Dev team, and this is Super Destructible Dungeons Week 2 Game and Art Mockup. So, a quick summary of our game. It's a top-down dungeon crawler, and you descend down a tower-like structure, going from room to room and dungeon to dungeon. And after, you return to the start while the entire tower crumbles. But the twist is, the player can interact with the dungeon and create paths, at the cost of time on your way back up. Alright, so here's our map ideas. Went for a little dungeon feel, and you can see here some of the torches that the players could maybe place down, add light source, maybe stop mobs from spawning. And then here's a different mock-up, just different textures, obviously a little bit lighter. It just depends how we want the vibe of the map to be. And here's some sprite ideas we have. So we have here our main character, green theme, just stand out obviously against the background. A mob here, futuristic maybe. We're thinking about an idea with that, but I'm not 100% sure yet. Here's some more sprite enemy ideas. We have a little slime, Terraria inspired slime, and just a normal ghost here using the pixel art. And yeah, that's our game and art mockup for week 2. Thank you for listening.
Okay, back into the varsity STEM teams week 2 challenge. This one teed up East Mech versus Butler. And again, inside, not the app, but the game dev workflow here in week 2. They went through the curriculum, then submitted their submissions, as we know, on the game track to showcase that game idea, including that detail of the gameplay loop, the core art assets, really a mock-up of the final game. So, Malcolm, what I saw here, East Mech Paper Warriors, I love that they showed the default board. I love the play character detail and the animation. I thought that was all really cool. Again, the theme that I'm seeing today, we need to start seeing more specific gameplay, and that applies to East Mech as well. On the Butler side, the super destructible dungeon, the map ideas were really cool, as were the sprite ideas. Again, I love to see people at this level of week 2 design in STEM through the curriculum they're being provided, really paying attention to not just throwing something out there, but focusing on the sprites, focusing on the map ideas. Need to see where the gameplay goes next. Ultimately, what did you think?
Well, yeah, I thought East Mech with Paper Warriors had a really cool concept with their game. Love the really nice screen, grid system laid out with all their the assets for the game, and it had a really cool animation. The super destructible dungeon by Butler, I mean, that's going to be a really cool game. One where you can just mow down anything in your path to make it out of the dungeon. It's really hard to compare these two games, and I'm going to have to split it 1-1 at this
Oh,
point.
good cop. I also am going to go 1-1 with the piece of feedback to them being you both have shown us some really cool elements of what your game can be. You need to start focusing not just on how it's played more like start to finish, but what would keep people coming back. What after I play it once, am I done? You're looking for daily and weekly and monthly active users. So how does it score? How does it stay unique every time you go through it? I think putting a little thought into that is going to really pay dividends. So that's going to leave us here with a tie, EastMech 2, Butler 2.
Hello and welcome to the Seek Project Week 2 overview. This week we will be giving you a first look at our prototypes and our vision of what our app will be. Our main goals are to make a fully functional app that is user-friendly and will teach users about the many benefits of clean energy. Here we have our sprites. Our team started by creating sprites that will help enhance the user interface for our app, making it visually appealing and easy to use. Here are some of the sprites we've created. These sprites and many others soon to come will be one of the most important parts of the design process. When we finish the app and we put together all necessary components, it should look something like this, a neat and easily understandable display for easy access for users. Now here we present to you the prototype to our app, Clean Town.
Hello, my name is Rory Bone, and I am representing the South Mech STEM team for week 2. So, in this week we had to design a UI, and this is the UI concept that I came up with. I took heavy inspiration from Duolingo, which is one of the biggest educational apps on the App Store right now, and so our first page looks a lot like theirs. I believe this pathway style is very effective and very encouraging for users to continue learning to progress on the pathway. So our pathway has different shapes representing different learning experiences. So some of these can just be like articles, some of them can be videos, some of them can be interactive videos or interactive lessons. But also we also have this profile tab in the bottom right, and this you can access how far you are along with learning, and also you could unlock some achievements. But I think what could really be revolutionary for our app is connecting to student resources like Canvas or Google Classroom so that teachers can integrate our app into their lessons with teaching kids about clean energy. Thank you very much. You have a good day.
Okay, back into the varsity STEM action. These two teams, engineering and South Mech, really, again, press the envelope. And a reminder, this is not the game dev, but the app dev stream that they are competing in. Their week 2 curriculum that they have now all gone through was about showcasing their apps to us. Last week, they showed us the idea. This week, they showed us the core screens that demonstrate how the app's going to look and theoretically function using that Figma tool. I really believe here that on the engineering side, teaching students about how to save money with the clean energy on the home ownership side, very cool. The only reason that I'm saying that out loud is because I remember it from week 1. They have to recap what it was they were doing. I literally, when I watched that video, had to remind myself that this wasn't a game, it was actually an app that they've gamified. So reminder, a little ding there, reminder to go back and tell us what the whole thing is we're looking at like it's our first time viewing it. The sprites look great. the high energy of that presentation, really good. And you showed the actual UX. That was a good part of it too. In fact, I love that you've gamified it so much. I thought it was a game and forgot it was an app. On the South Mech, I love the pathway idea. The big question is, you kind of left me wanting to know more of exactly what was happening. What happens when you click in on that screen we saw is the big question. I like the school resource angle. Again, you got to focus in on why someone would play this at a recurring level, not just come in one time because they're your friend and they checked a box. What's going to make that actually usable for folks? Malcolm?
Well, yeah. So I'll tell you what, the Charlotte engineering crew really know how to put together a presentation. I mean, they always have the right music, keeps it fun and engaging. Really cool asset design too. You know, it looks fun and entertaining, and like you would want to spend some time in that app. They feel like they could have shown off some more UI and a more kind of developed concept of their app, you know, given the tools that they had. But overall, I liked it. South Mech. Now, remember, this is the one where we thought, you know, they're going to market it to second grade to seventh graders or something like that.
Oh, I totally see. Again, another thing I totally forgot, which I thought was really, really powerful.
Yeah, I had to go back and look at my notes from last week to remember that. And I think if they play up to that, you know, this has a really, you know, a lot of potential to market it to parents.
Huge.
Directly, especially, you know, those educational learning pathways, like he said he took from Duolingo. And I know Rory's Heart from South Mech is working really hard on this by himself. He's going to need some support from his fellow esporters and classmates to really get this thing off the ground. So for this week, I'm going to go 1-1 Seek South Mech. What do you think?
That is a good choice there and good points. So that's a tough one now. You put me in a tough spot. I guess I'm going to have to boil it down to 2 points engineering. And I don't want South Mech to get discouraged here because, again, you just reminded me live, real time, what totally hooked me in what they did last time. They've got to start incorporating that and taking it serious. I really think that engineering squad did a great job, but don't sleep on South Mech, but they're going to have to put in the work to really get this app to the next level. And that second to seventh or eighth grade, whatever it was, that market, paired with the resources, if it's something these kids want to play, it has the potential maybe of being the best game in the entire cohort that we're in the middle of right now, but they got to put that work in. So that leaves us at 3 points engineering, 1 point South Mech.
So last week we created an original pitch on our app concept, Money Mine. You know, the app that helps young people become financially literate in the hope of contributing to upward mobility. We kept our idea the same, but I'm sure like any other fine app created, there will be changes in the near future as we continue developing Money Mine. Our biggest goal is to stay focused on helping young people like ourselves be more prepared and aware of financial product and opportunity so we can live better lives with less stress. After all, folks, the more you know, the better prepared you'll be. This week we got started thinking about what our UI is gonna look like. We didn't have much time, but we're off to a great start. So what's next? Well, we plan on switching up the layout, the color, because it didn't exactly work with our theme about finance. So that's gotta change. The ball is rolling, guys. Watch out, CMS. Olympic remain a powerhouse to be reckoned with. This is the one and only Chief signing off. Olympic Dem team out.
Yellow YTAC Nation. First impressions matter, and that's why UI is one of the most important parts of our budgeting app, Frugal Friend.
To recap, Frugal Friend is a personal budgeting app to teach students financial literacy. It will also have features like a live newsfeed relevant to your money, a possible rewards minigame, and spending history.
Most of our competitors, like Simplify, charge a subscription fee. Our app will be free and will provide relevant information that other apps like this cannot through our unique built-in newsfeed. In today's unpredictable world, Frugal Friend will give the user information they need to stay ahead of threats.
Since Frugal Friend's main function is budgeting, there will be a home screen that features fields to input incomes and expenses, and a button to take you to a calendar, and the actual information that you need to save. We will feature 2 scroll screens, the Bank Spotlight section, where financial services can advertise, and the Live Newsfeed, which is innovative and makes our app different from others. different from others.
You can navigate between these sections via tabs on the screen, providing smooth and easy navigation that customers are familiar with. This design has been chosen because we believe that it will be familiar to app students already use, thus not scaring them off with anything too complicated.
Made by students for students, this user interface will work for both you and I.
Okay, we're back to the week 2 varsity STEM team action. We just saw Olympic and JT Williams go head to head again in the app building work stream in that challenge. They spent the last week with week 2 opening of going through the curriculum for app building, which again, showcasing their apps, core screens, making sure they can demonstrate what it's not just going to look like, but how it's theoretically going to function. And Olympic, I loved the money mind view. It's a really unique angle there. They need to make it more Gen Z friendly. That's my big point of feedback. They've got topics that adults would like as I look at the one screen kind of view that we were able to see there. But what is it that their own peers, again, built by Gen Z for Gen Z, they have a unique view. They don't have to pretend to be adults building apps for adults. They're building it for their own highly sought after market, which is really important. And then what happens uniquely when they click on those links? I think you've got to figure out what happens inside those realms, and that makes it Gen Z friendly and really enthralling for them. Perhaps consider gamifying it. On the JT Williams side, the frugal friend, very cool. What I really loved about all of that was the live news feed. How you make it look cool is the next level of where you need to go there. How you deliver that news feed and the info that's in it. How can you make the bank spotlight section cool, not for the banks, but for Gen Z? What would they want to see there? Because again, that's what in your model you're going to be pitching to those banks. By students, for students is an amazing end tagline to what you had there. What did you think?
Well, the first thing on both of these teams, I absolutely love the alliteration on the app names. I mean, you have Money Mind, 2M's, Frugal Friend,
totally,
Double F. That's just so catchy, and I'm such a huge fan of that. Olympic really targeting the upward mobility, and to help you young people prepare for financial literacy.
The youth
forward.
The youths, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, these are both apps by the youth for the youth. I feel like both teams honestly could have shown some more UX, and these are two of our strongest STEM teams. So maybe what we're finding out is that as the teams go through this, they're having a harder time translating their ideas onto paper, because these are really complicated ideas and going to be difficult apps to build. And, I think they'll rise to the challenge, but I think the teams are going to struggle for the next week or two with those things.
Score-wise, where are you at?
Score-wise, it's going to be a tie. 1 Olympic, 1 JT Williams.
I as well am going to go 1-1, double good cop action there. And my feedback to both of these teams, as well as really all the teams, the more you get into the weeds of actually either your game or your app and the build and showcasing that, the more of a head start you're going to have, and the more time you're going to have to refine it and make it better as this season continues. So that, my friends, is 2 points Olympic, 2 points JT Williams.
Hello, this is Emilio Pacheco with Harding University High School, and we'll be presenting our game mock-up of another amazing game. The story of this game is that you, the player, have been trapped in a dimension called the Slip, and must traverse throughout a series of mazes while collecting keys to return home. Each level will contain a different maze, presenting a unique puzzle that the player must solve. This demonstration showcases a rough idea of our game concept, the art, and the UI. We have many improvements to make over the next few weeks.
Hello again, I'm back with my update, I guess. So let's take a look at our creation. Alright, here's what I kinda have as a mock-up. I'm sorry if it doesn't look that appealing to the eyes. I'm sorry about that. But, yeah, I think the main gameplay loop is, like, you'd basically have to, like, go through the, like, this wall, kinda, like, here. So let me move that down. You'd move, so, like, you'd go to this guy, beat him in a card game, then he'll drop a key, and then you get that key, go to this guy, beat him, then he'll open a key for bad, and then once you open the key to that, you beat this guy. You should be able to win. And it should be like part of the gameplay is like using like different classes to strategize against like going against these guys.
Okay, we're back to the week 2 showdown. We're in the game dev varsity STEM challenge week 2 again, and we just saw Harding and West Charlotte. And a reminder, the game dev curriculum they just went through for the entire week and the submission they made was all about showcasing that game idea, including the details of the gameplay loop, the core art assets, arranging those levels in a mock-up that demonstrates the final game. Really, really important phase of the 8-week session that we're in the middle of. For Harding, I liked what I saw. I wasn't sure what I was seeing was in construct.net. Again, this is one of those things, maybe they did, maybe they didn't. The submission here is about showing that to us and explaining it. And now I'm looking, yes, they definitely did. But another amazing game. I think they need to figure out how to score it, right? And how to ultimately come through with how am I playing it as the end user. West Charlotte, another great opportunity where they showed it in construct. Very cool. Make the interaction and the gameplay strategies engaging. That's really important. I love seeing the strategies that you laid out there. How can you make these things more engaging? What did you think?
Well, yeah, I think you're exactly right. For Harding, the amazing game. I love the title. It's going to be a lot of fun, I think. I'd like to see some more, of the assets that go with this game kind of fleshed out I think overall kind of the improved graphics. Now, for West Charlotte's game, what I loved was they had, some fun intro music as well for their presentation, but also for the game. And I think, I can't tell you how much the right music adds to a game. And, they have kind of went with the 8-bit music style for their game. And, that's just going to kind of give you a little bit of nostalgia for this type of game here. Like I said last week, this type of game is right up my alley. Big nerd stuff.
I think what they're going to need to do, especially on that last one with West Charlotte, is the detail they put into those interactions. This is what I was saying a minute ago. Like if each time you have an interaction, making that interaction unique, mind engaging, challenging, I think that has an opportunity to add the dimension to the game that make people really want to play it. And maybe figuring out a way to make it a little unique each time so that when you play it once, it's not like you'd ever not go back and do it again because you know exactly how it is. Figure out how to make things a little random in there. Score.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's going to be the challenge for all of these is how to get users to come back. Score. I'm going to have to go 1 Harding, 1 West Charlotte.
So good cop. I'll good cop this one as well. 1-1. That leaves this week 2 showdown. 2 points Harding, 2 points West Charlotte.
This is the Palisade STEM team, and last week our STEM pitch was a submarine educational game, and this is what our mock-up of what our app will look like. Our menu will have our game logo and our name, Deep Dollars, and we will also have a start button and a sign-in button for users to save their progress. At the bottom of the main menu, we will have a permanent menu to navigate the screens. Moving from left to right, we have the menu page, the questions page, the main game page, the shop page, and the settings page. So this page that we have here is the questions page where users will have to answer questions in order to build up their oxygen meter to keep their run alive. Here's an example question that I provided with the correct answer highlighted, and at the bottom of the page we will provide the explanation for why the correct answer is correct. This page is a mock-up of what our game will look like, and users will have to dodge cave obstacles by tapping to go up and down to navigate the caves. And here for the user we have a score tracker for how long their run is and an oxygen meter to let users know how much time they have left in their run.
So this is the shop page where you can see your character's icons and their borders and purchase cosmetics for your character. In the coin store below, you can purchase coins to upgrade your character. Now this page is the leaderboard page where you can track the global 1st, 2nd, and 3rd places. There's also a separate friends leaderboard section where you can track who's 1st, 2nd, 3rd on your friends list.
On our login page, we will have options to log in through our app using Google, Instagram, or Facebook. Users will be able to log in order to save their progress using their email and chosen password. On our settings page, users will be able to adjust their audios using sliders. At the bottom, users will be able to sign out in case they have other accounts.
Hello, my name is Po, and this is Garinger STEM Team's GPay UI layout. This is the first page consumers will see. They'll be able to choose between logging in or signing up. And that will take us to the homepage where the user is greeted. There is the overview button, the rewards button, the guides button, the actions button, and the settings button. Let's head to the overview page. This is where all your finances are located. You have your account balance and insight, your budgeting and your spending, your accounts, your bills, and your savings. Here's the accounts page. This is where all your cards linked to your bank accounts are located. Here's the bills page. There is a calendar that indicates paid bills or past due bills. You may check all your paid and past due bills under the respective button, and on the bottom of the page, it shows upcoming bills. Here is the savings page. Here you can check all the balances for the saving goals you've saved for. You can change the icons and look further into the savings. Heading back from the home page, here's your rewards page, where you can view your badges that you earn from completing your saving goals. This is the guides page where teens can enhance their financial literacy. Now onto the actions page. This is where you can add bills, add saving goals, add transactions, set a goal, and there's also step-by-step how-tos. Saving the best for last, this is the settings page where you can view account information and other information. Now finally, this is the layout under connections.
Okay, back into the week 2 challenges from the STEM varsity teams. Now it's Palisades versus Geringer. And again, this is the app dev competition. They are focusing on showing us from where they started with their ideas in week 1 to actually showing us where the rubber meets the road. What is the UX going to be like? How are they going to be able to use a tool like Figma to ultimately show us what that gameplay looks like? Deep dollars on the Palisades side. I thought this was really unique. I really liked it. The questions are going to be cool, and I think there's got to be some way where I think you should spend a lot of time thinking about the questions and how that's going to ultimately make people to come back and play the game. So much art is going to come into that piece. The leaderboard was cool as well. How can you build on that? Again, I think a leaderboard in a way where it's challenging and you want to come back and have the high score, but it's not something super simple, is going to be important. Can you also have users share their results and different things they learned on social? So now you've got a free advertising mechanism out of your app. On the Geringer side, pay UI, traditional pages are great. How are you going to make it all work at the end of the day? The financial literacy page, also very cool. I like the layout and everything I saw. I just think that you've ultimately got to do something special here. And I talked to this team offline, so I'm going to spend an extra second here, Malcolm. You were on it. They were upset with us in week 1 that we didn't give them more points. I think hands down, they still have the best view, ultimately, of anyone we've seen from a UX. But the question is not, is it the prettiest? As we get to week 6, 7, and 8, it's who can use it and how can we use it? And I talked to him over the weekend about, well, are you a PFM, a financial literacy thing where people are just using it? Or are you a banking app where somehow you've got to have a partnership with the bank? I didn't see them address that today, but ultimately a lot of these pages, the bills page, the credit card page, none of that stuff's going to work unless it's integrated with actual financial services, which makes it very challenging. But clearly it's a dominant view right there. What do you think?
Yeah. So, for Palisades, the deep dollars, another alliteration right there. I absolutely loved the concept of the app and, the idea of gamifying financial learning, the leaderboard. That means they're going to invite their friends to come and check it out. And Geringer, I mean, wow, their app already looks super professional. The way it's designed and laid out. I mean, it already looks like a legit app that you could download right now, and I'm sure they're going to deploy it pretty soon. They also had a really well laid out wireframe showing you the interaction between all of the pages as well. I mean, that's crazy. Reluctantly, I'm going to have to go 1-1, but great job to both teams.
All right, here's what I think I'm going to do. This is really hard, and especially hard because they're up against Palisades, who has really put together something cool as well. I think at a base level, Geringer won this week, right? So I'm going to give them my 2 points. Geringer is going to have 3 there. However, I want to make real clear on this. This is the last week that it's going to be okay for them to be presenting things that just look awesome and that were well thought out and how they connect. The app has to work by the end of this competition. So if you are going down a banking side of this, however, how's your user base in weeks 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 going to actually interact with the credit card page? So if you're gonna partner with a bank, you need to get started. I told them this weekend, if your stuff's good, I'll introduce you to banks to see if that's possible. But it's got to be workable inside the 8-week regular season. So they got to decide: are they a PFM, a financial literacy tool that doesn't integrate with banking, or are they doing these banking things? This is a little unfair in my opinion to Palisades, but they had a dominant presentation this week. So this is the last week of us accepting the fact that is it possible for them to implement this over the regular season? So it's 3 points Garinger, guys. 1 point Palisades.
Hello and welcome back to everyone's favorite dungeon crawler that's still in development, Toast. Today we are showcasing our gameplay loop, sprites, and getting into the core of what makes a game fun, illustrated with Jesper Jewel's magic circle. Here we have a user interface, showing the player's health. We have some weapons that the player will be able to obtain and use in battle. And we have some character sprites and some walking animation, still currently in development. So the gameplay loop is essentially the player going through different rooms filled with different layouts, puzzles, and enemies. And those enemies drop loot which you can store. You can visit everyone's favorite tuber merchant to trade loot for upgrades, and this progresses the game. In the context of a dungeon crawler video game, the magic circle applies in several ways. The player enters the game world, and is presented with objectives. The player has a limited amount of health and needs to find health potions or a stat boost to stay alive. It's up to the player to decide when and how to make these decisions, and this gives them a valorization of the outcome. Toast offers engaging gameplay element. The player will find joy in different ways. The game is immersive and offers high replayability to keep players coming back for more through randomly generated levels and different character classes. And that, my friends, is what makes Toast fun. That concludes our gameplay and sprite overview for Toast, and we hope to see you in the next round.
Today we are going to showcase the first level of our Rocky River STEM team game, Scholarships in the Scholar System. Let me explain what the game is. This game will be a Space Invaders-esque game containing all the schools in CMS as either characters or enemies. In the starter level, there will be a couple of enemies, and it won't be too hard or too crazy, but we are planning on adding more like enemy bullets, weird enemy movement, and player ship upgrades. For movement right now, we have A and D as the left and right movement, and W to shoot.
These first, second, and third pictures are the ships that will be seen throughout the game. These are some of the beginning ships and will also be selectable characters at the start of the game. We are planning on adding more ships in the future.
This final part is what some of the in-game sprites will look like. These are just a work in progress. We hope to add more things to our game and will take any feedback you have. Thank you for watching.
Okay, back to the week 2 varsity STEM team action. This one pitted Mallard Creek versus Rocky River. And again, game devs showcasing their game ideas that they have inside week 2's curriculum was tools like construct.net and other things, enabling them to come and submit to us what we just saw there, which is what's your gameplay loop and your core art assets that are arranged, and what do your level mock-ups look like to demonstrate that final game that they are ultimately working on building right now. Mallard Creek's Dungeon Crawler, very cool. The weapons and the sprites, I love it. Once again, when people focus in on the details of their game at this level. Also a great presentation. I love that magic circle schematic and all that stuff. It's a really good design. I want to start seeing gameplay and you know, you got to transition out of your idea and kind of presenting it, cutting it up and editing it here to showing us ultimately that gameplay. Rocky River, the scholarships in the scholar system. I had to go back and listen to that twice. That is really, really cool. The movement and the gameplay they showcase for us, awesome. I'd like to see more on the scoring and how to win and how people are going to ultimately come back. If they have some kind of educational and scoring gamified way or aspect, on getting a scholarship, if indeed that's part of it, or whatever it is. What's the hook to the game? It can be that, it can be something else. Other than cool gameplay, people need a hook to come, and then a reason to keep coming back and becoming a monthly to weekly to daily active user. So that's what I'll be looking for in the coming weeks. What do you say?
Yeah, I think Mallard Creek's presentation is just fire. I mean, just their video alone is going to be able to hook people to download and play the game, whether it's on Steam or on a mobile phone or whatever. When they get into the marketing phase, I think their video presentations are going to be so polished by then that that's going to be one of their huge tools in getting new users. As for Rocky River, I think, it's basically Space Invaders with a new twist. Like you said, the scholarships and the scholar system. Yeah, scholar system. You're exactly right. That's exactly what I was going to say. They need to gamify it.
I didn't hear anything other than the title that led me to part of it, that is.
The
scholarships in the scholar system. And then there was the gameplay, which I thought was cool. If that is indeed the name and the theme of the game, there needs to be some connectivity there,
yeah,
right?
I mean, I guess it's that they have all of the CMS schools as spaceships that you can fly throughout the scholar system. But I think you're right, gamifying it
It's the hook.
and teaching, making
Yeah.
an educational app, that is going to be the hook.
Score.
I'm going to go 1-1.
I'm going to go 1-1 as well. Good cop v. good cop here. That, my friends, is 2 points Mallard Creek, 2 points Rocky River.
Our app is going to be called Solar Portal. This app is going to focus on solar energy and is going to give us the user information on how it works, where it can be found throughout North Carolina, at least to start, and how solar energy can be attained at home. On the start page of our app, the UI will have a bar on the top for the app name and a hamburger menu on the button on the top left. The hamburger menu button is where most of the transportation throughout the app is going to take place. Throughout the menu button, the user can access settings, gain access to their account, take you back to the start page, and most importantly, navigate you throughout the app's facilities. The bar on the top might not be displayed throughout the entire app, but the button will. As far as the color scheme of the start page goes, this bar on the top will have a darker shade of blue, so the user is able to differentiate between that and the main background. The main background, where the news feed is displayed, will be a lighter shade of blue. The title on the top bar is going to be yellow, so the user can really see it. The pop-up color will draw the user's eyes in the title and the menu button, so they can clearly tell what they're looking at. The rest of the start page is going to have some sort of news feed. This news feed is going to solely focus on local news relating to clean energy, and is going to be the forefront of information on the start page. This will allow the user to have a better sense of how clean energy is being implemented and used not only throughout their community, but also in the whole of North Carolina. If the app were to expand on a global scale, or just the United States, we would be able to better implement news on clean energy on a larger scale.
Hello, I am Ike Hurd with the Hopewell STEM team, presenting you the layout of our app, Monoteen, a financial service app that educates and connects teens to financial services such as banking, scholarship opportunities, as well as job opportunities to increase the financial empowerment of teens. Now on the landing page, you'll see a temporary logo, which will be replaced eventually. You'll also see login and sign up options. This will only appear when you first download the app or when you choose to sign out, so you can choose your account. When you log in, you will simply use a username and password to access information from the database, while when you sign up, you will enter an email additionally. Once you have signed in, you will come to the home page where there's some information, such as a profile picture or birth date, which can be entered later. You will also see your progress towards your financial goals overall, and your 3 resources: education, goal setting, and resources financially. The resource page has ratings, type of resource name, and a picture, and this will allow teens to find the type of resource they're looking for and also a resource that is highly rated. This will allow teens to find the most empowering resource for them. Then you will be able to go to goals, set a goal and a description, and track your progress using this bar, with these services allowing teens to be empowered financially and increase financial responsibility.
Back here at the STEM desk for Varsity STEM Week 2 showdowns, Huff and Hopewell. And again, app dev, that was the curriculum they went through in week 2, teaching them how to showcase their app's core screens that demonstrate how it's going to work, how it's going to theoretically function using Figma wireframing tools. Huff, The solar portal, I love it. The content, the approach is great. A huge improvement from week 1 and what we saw. We got to give them credit there where it's due. This static page that we saw, again, if I'm going to be honest, I like it, but it also looks like a kid made it, right? So the point here is you've got training, you've got curriculum, you've got tools that we're giving you. How can you come in there and really make that UI, the visuals need to be super tight? And then how are you going to make people want to use this? Is this a one-way kind of like informational blog? Or how are we interacting with it ultimately? Is gamification possible? I think you need to figure out your hook ultimately there, and then what the info in there is going to be and how people are going to be coming back. On the Hopewell side, Monotine, I think that's the name, Monotine, awesome name, amazing, great content at 10 as well. Really focus on making your UI clean. Again, I'm going to give the same critique here. This is cool. I love that you made this. This is Figma, right?
Yep.
We're looking at Figma. They're using a tool to wireframe up what they're going to ultimately build. But again, this looks like a kid made it to me. Right? Like you can figure out, there's nothing about what an adult makes that's clean and crisp that a kid can't do that with the right education and tools. The curriculum is there. You've got to focus in on how to make this thing tighter. I'm going to be looking at that specifically as we go into next week. How you populate the resource page is fundamental. I cannot tell you this in any underestimated sense, right? What you do inside that area is going to be so key to making this a good user experience that people want versus something that was cool that a kid made. Also, maybe enabling users to enter their own resource ideas with upvoting or whatever it might be. Again, create user-based content. You have to create all the content in the world if you build a great platform, and structuring those objectives. Big point number 2 for you guys. How you do that is going to make or break this. If it's a really functional way that me going and entering stuff to enter objective, actually, I want to do it because it's going to help me achieve that objective. That's why I'm going to use this app. So you've got to figure that stuff out.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I mean, Huff had an amazing start to their presentation, huge improvement from last week. I love the the concepts that they're trying to convey. Like you said, the static page just doesn't look that entertaining and interactive yet. Hopewell, same kind of thing, temporary logo, but they had a lot more fleshed out UI. I love the idea of, setting your financial goals. Hopewell. Love the idea of setting your financial goals. Monotine, great name.
It's a great name.
Yep. And I was expecting a little bit more from the UX, UI, but overall, great improvement from last week's pitch, and it seems like they incorporated a lot of the feedback. So I'm going to have to go 1-1 Huff. Hopewell.
You're so soft.
I know.
You're so soft. Well, since you're doing that, I don't want to, I'm glad you gave a point to Huff, and that's important because I want to recognize that we see the improvement from week 1 to week 2. However, there needs to be a lot more improvement. Hopewell, though, great idea. You got the core something there. You need to sharpen that pencil and go back in and really tighten everything up. So I'm going to go 2 points Hopewell. But again, whether it's this week or more importantly into the weeks to come, we're going to start judging harder based on we've seen where you've started, we've seen where you've progressed in week 2. Use the curriculum, use the tools that we've given you to ultimately come and make strides to where you need to go. That's going to be Hopewell 3, Huff 1.